Although sea lions spend most of their lives in the water, they can get out on land. This last thought that it would be able to escape from killer whales that are not able to leave the water. Big mistake. Orcas are ready to risk themselves for the sake of such appetizing seals. They timed the moment to break ashore together with the wave, grab the pinniped, and return back as soon as possible. Now we will show other amazing cases from the life of marine predators. It seems as if killer whales know that they are being filmed and deliberately demonstrate their incredible strength. Here, a predator overtakes a sea lion, which it can deal with the help of its jaws. But instead, the killer whale throws the victim out of the water with a crushing blow of its tail. The sea lion flies to the height of a third-story building. The birds are shocked. They fly over the hunting ground in search of profit, but they did not expect that the underwater monster sent its victim to visit them. After such a monstrous blow, there are hardly many whole bones left in the body of a sea lion. But falling on the surface of the water from such a height is like falling on concrete. This completely finishes off the sea lion and turns it into a helpless victim. This means that it can only be picked up with the jaws of this orca. The brutal and at the same time impressive manner of hunting is incredibly effective. If the agile sea lion still has chances to dodge the grip of the killer whale's fangs, then the victim will not be able to survive such a blow. But the great strength is not the main weapon of killer whales. Their intelligence is much more important. These black and white underwater predators are close relatives of dolphins, famous for their memory and mental abilities. Killer whales are in no way inferior to their distant relatives. Excellent memory and communication skills are combined with the ability of these predators to plan complex hunting tactics. And killer whales look at dolphins like a burger. Yes, family ties do not prevent them from hunting smaller animals at all. Catching a dolphin is a difficult task. They can get away from most large enemies due to maneuverability. But this dolphin does not know who he's messing with. A tense confrontation, wouldn't you agree? Thanks to the efforts of these killer whales, they succeed in what most sharks do not. Some beaters chase prey from behind, others do not allow a group of fish to disperse over a large area. Finally, our hunter squeezes its jaws, and the dolphin is no longer able to get out. He will be dealt with the powerful blows of the tail, which the killer whales can also throw the dolphin out of the water with. Teeth will also be used. The killer whales use a similar tactic to restrain a whole school of fish. Without allowing them to scatter in different directions, each killer whale can snatch not one, but several fish at once in one throw. Wouldn't you agree that the ability to plan and implement teamwork so coolly deserves your like, does it not? Another advantage of killer whales is courage. If a sea lion or seal is on land, on the shore, but close enough to the water's edge, this black and white predator can risk its life for a hearty lunch. Well, and for the sake of adventure, of course. It seems that killer whales just love thrills. How else can you explain the many episodes when they hunt these sea lions on the shore? A killer whale can jump ashore, catch a seal, and just go back. It looks epic, and the element of surprise helps to catch the seals by surprise, who do not have time to react and retreat far enough back. But if the predator makes even the slightest mistake and jumps out too far, it will get stuck. Sometimes the most desperate killer whales jump out so far that only a tidal wave can help them get back into the water. And this is completely unpredictable. In fact, the killer whale is playing roulette and betting his life. If it stays on land, then contrary to popular belief, its own weight will not suffocate her. This is only the problem of much larger whales. But the thermoregulation of killer whales is adapted to living in cold water. If the animal remains on land, then overheating in a few hours will be fatal for it. That's why during the rescue of killer whales, conservationists pour water on them. The animal breathes air, but it needs water to cool down while people drag it back into the water. To be honest, water is an unpredictable element. Now this bird feels like a hunter, right? For whom the only concern is catching prey. Suddenly, a huge shark appears from the depths, as if out of nowhere, really, and catches up with the bird with one throw. The shark caught the albatross in less than a second, and the bird didn't have the chance to take off when the predator was so close. The shark is an incredibly successful marine predator. This species has existed for tens of millions of years, practically unchanged. And that's because perfection cannot be improved. Just look at the speed with which the shark overtakes its prey here. Thanks to its incredibly strong tail fin, this fish is able to overcome a huge distance in just a couple of movements. The strength of the shark can be judged by the fact that during the hunt, it is able to jump out of the water to such a height almost equal to the length of its own body. It's kind of hard to believe, but it allows sharks to hunt birds. This feathered one right here is shocked when a monster suddenly appears out of the water, and it catches it right on the fly. A shark's battering ram can stun anyone. But the main trump card of this predator is its jaws. There are about 300 triangular sharp teeth in a shark's mouth. How do they fit in there? It's simple, in several rows. At the same time, the jaws have great strength, so it is almost impossible to break out of a grip like this. Shark teeth also have jagged edges, so they act like miniature saws. And although there are few rivals for these fish, they prefer to hunt wounded animals more, chase injured ones, and weak individuals. Just imagine, some marine inhabitant survived a terrible danger, beat a predator in a fight, managed to break away, only for a shark to smell its blood and swim in for a second round. A great white shark can just bite an adult seal. And even smaller species are able to hunt most sea lions and seals and fish of the world ocean. Pretty scary, isn't it? Sharks, for all of their advantages, have one drawback. They're not very social. Dolphins are another matter. They have a well-developed signal exchange system, thanks to which dolphins coordinate their actions in real time. And they are unexpectedly cruel. It may come as a surprise to you, but dolphins often use violence against their own kind. They attack young ones, take away food, but they protect their family members desperately. So attacking a young dolphin is the stupidest idea a shark could come up with. It doesn't even understand who it's messing with, and now it's going to pay for its cruelty. The shark's jaws didn't even have time to touch the opponent when the anger of the family falls on the brainless fish, like the ninth wave on a wooden raft. The shark simply has no chance. The smart dolphins, if they lag behind the enemy in terms of physical strength, then it's only a little bit. They also are superior in maneuverability and speed. However, the main thing is that dolphins know the weaknesses of their enemy. They deliver powerful and painful blows to the gills, which for a shark is like a hammer blow to the throat. At least it stuns and causes terrible pain. And then the dolphins turn the opponent over. An interesting anatomical fact. If a shark is turned upside down, it will almost paralyze it and it will not be able to return to its normal position on its own. It's not really clear how dolphins know about this. Maybe they catch young sharks and conduct experiments on them? We honestly wouldn't be surprised. But knowing this feature makes killer whales extremely dangerous against sharks. Just now, this fish thought that she was the lord and the storm of the seas. and now she is already prey for a pack of angry enemies who beat and paralyze her in a couple of minutes, and then eat her. Do not mess with dolphins if you are a solitary animal, and even more so, it is not worth messing with their young. The only marine predator that is higher up than dolphins in the food chain is killer whales. Interestingly enough, although both dolphins and killer whales show cruelty towards enemies, it is killer whales that are more loyal both to their own kind and to people. There are cases when wild dolphins attacked people to drown them. So meeting a dolphin in the wild is honestly like playing the lottery. If you get lucky, it'll help and even save you from the sharks. Not lucky, it will attack you. So beware of these animals in the water. But wild killer whales never do this. They swim up to people to study them, get to know them, and even swim with them and play together. But there's no aggression. Moreover, there are impressive cases when killer whales and huge whales have saved people from sharks, pushing aside predators, or attacking them to protect strangers. This just goes to show that not all heroes wear capes, and these giants often just swim up to communicate, keeping maximum accuracy. They slow down so as not to accidentally hit the boat, surfboard, or the person themselves. Would you ever like to meet such a powerful, ruthless, but loyal to man marine predator? Let us know in the comments. Or let us know if you already have a story about how you encountered killer whales. If a killer whale seems like an underwater giant to you, then how do you like these big bad boys? The weight of a killer whale can reach 4 tons, the same as a minibus, but the weight of a humpback whale is 30 tons. This is practically a living island, which sometimes goes to a huge depth, and when it rises to take a breath of atmospheric air, causes waves on which a surfer could ride. The camera captures an epic scene of the confrontation of a whole flock of killer whales with such humpback whales. It's almost like hunting a pack of wolves for a moose, with the only difference that these animals are 10 times larger. And also, these aquatic mammals have more developed communication, so they use more complex tactics. Killer whales can spend hours surrounding a family of humpback whales to separate the cub from the mother and other members of the group. Regular aggressive attacks are inflicted by predators from different sides to confuse the enemy. One blow from the powerful tail of a humpback whale is enough to crush the killer whale and cause fatal damage to it. Therefore, these intelligent carnivores constantly change the angles of attack, act aggressively, and at the same time, so smoothly, as if they had been rehearsing and practicing their techniques for hours. But to finish off the victim of this size, killer whales do not use their jaws. Even their bites could not cause fatal damage to a humpback whale or a different whale. Instead, killer whales drown the victim. They know that whales also breathe air. Therefore, killer whales block the attempts of the whale to surface for a life-saving breath. To do this, predators use ramming blows, try to hold the victim with their teeth, beat with their tails, and since killer whales themselves need air, the predators constantly are going after each other. The blue whale is the largest creature on Earth. And we're not only discussing sea animals here, but all animals in the world. And not just now, but for the entire history of man. No dinosaur has ever reached such impressive dimensions. A mass of 150 tons, with a body length of more than 100 feet 30 meters, is like the weight of a spacious building. A blue whale could swallow a van, and with a blow of its tail, it is able to cause a wave that could hide a small island underneath water. But killer whales attack even such giants. It's incredibly dangerous, but if a blue whale is alone, then a dozen aggressive predators like this could attack it for hours, inflict painful bites, and chase it for miles. And so who would you root for in this situation? A huge giant, or clever, cruel, but capable of effective mutual assistance of predators? Let us know in the comments. We're interested to know your opinion. By the way, it's really funny that of all land animals in the world, the closest relatives of whales and dolphins are cows. And other hoofed mammals, of course. But that's pretty unexpected, isn't it? Their common ancestors went into the water millions of years ago. Then, the ancestors of the hoofed animals were not such avid vegetarians. Among them were omnivorous animals and even predators. So killer whales have retained their love for a meat diet, becoming the most successful predators of the world's oceans. Whales should not be underestimated. They are smart enough to take revenge on their enemies. Usually, a humpback whale does not show much sympathy towards pinnipeds. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend, is that not right? This killer whale underestimated the humpback whale's hatred. Perhaps when he was young and small, he was attacked by killer whales, for example. Maybe he's avenging someone else. But whatever his motives are, the main thing here is the result. The humpback whale saves the seal from an attack by a killer whale, and at the last moment, the seal comes to the rescue. The killer whale is in shock. Apparently, this whale decided that he was Batman and would protect the inhabitants of the sea from killer whales forever, no matter who they attacked. Or maybe the whale just wants his enemy to stay hungry. In any case, the seal gets really lucky. But sperm whales especially hate killer whales. If humpback whales and blue whales catch krill, so instead of toothy jaws, they have a whalebone filtering water. Then the sperm whale hunts fish, so it has powerful jaws with a bunch of sharp teeth. Sperm whales do not unite in such large groups as killer whales, so they are often persecuted during their youth. But if the sperm whale survives the attack of killer whales, survives and grows up to its maximum size, then it will already start hunting old enemies. The weight of a sperm whale reaches about 40 tons. That is 10 times the mass of killer whales. The vendetta of these animals looks impressive and frightening at the same time. Killer whales didn't even know what kind of enemy they got in the face of a huge and impetuous sperm whale. Dimensions are not the only weapon of marine animals. Many poisonous creatures live under the water. For example, the most venomous snake on the planet is not a cobra or a black mamba at all. The Belcher's sea snake is superior to both of them combined. The venom of this reptile is so strong that its amount from one bite would be enough to stop the heart of several hundred horses. That is, the threat to a person will be the amount of poison that can fit on a needle. The venom of the Belcher snake is practically a weapon of mass destruction, to be honest. Fortunately, this snake is not a bloodthirsty maniac at all. It doesn't differ in aggression and will not bite a person except in cases of self-defense. Pretty lucky, isn't it? The Belcher snake is a marine inhabitant. Although it has no gills and breathes air, the reptile spends most of its time underwater. To swim fast, her tail becomes flat like the fin of a fish. Thanks to this feature, the Belcher snake can catch up with any fish of suitable size. This moray eel didn't know who was in front of her. Attacking Belcher snake was a big mistake. The moray eel is a dangerous, lightning-fast, and very strong fish, but one snake bite is enough for this to be its last hunt. Its diet is the reason why a meek and small snake needs such a powerful poison. The fact is that the circulatory system of fish is arranged in a fundamentally different way than a similar system of warm-blooded animals. For example, rodents, which are hunted by land snakes. Because of this difference, fish are almost insensitive to the usual toxins of snakes. So the most ordinary fish from your aquarium would probably not be impressed by the bite of a king cobra, for example. But immunity, of course, is not absolute. When the ancestors of the Belcher snake in the process of development switched to an aquatic lifestyle, instead of restructuring the toxin to hunt specifically for fish, the snake simply increased its venom 100 times. As a result, it gets an excellent weapon, suitable for hunting fish, and for self-defense from any large predator as well. The polar bear is the largest land carnivorous animal on the modern planet. According to some reports, the mass of this giant can reach half a ton. When a polar bear stands on its hind legs to attack, it towers over its prey by almost 10 feet, 3 meters, which is not only incredibly frightening, but also gives the predator a tactical advantage. And although the polar bear belongs to land animals, its life is directly connected with the sea. The Arctic area is just a huge and mostly frozen Arctic Ocean. So for most of his life, a polar bear either swims in the water or walks over the frozen sea. And the main task of this predator is to find better prey. See how this huge polar bear hunts huge sea lions? These pinnipeds weigh much more than 4 tons, that is, they surpass rhinos and hippos. Coping with such a giant is incredibly difficult. Thanks to the ability to stay on its hind legs for a long time, the polar bear is able to deliver the strongest series of blows. Even one well-aimed blow with the paw of such a giant could break the neck of a horse. If you add long claws to pure physical power, then the effect of several lightning strikes becomes honestly really destructive. To powerful blows with paws, work with its jaws is added. The bite of a polar bear is cooler than the death grip of any trap. When a polar bear finds a group of sea lions together, this is honestly just like a supermarket for him. He chooses a more sophisticated prey and swiftly attacks it before the victim has time to disappear into the water. And it is difficult to bite through or break through a very thick, fatty layer of prey and get to its vulnerable parts. But all efforts pay off for him because such an amount of meat will be enough for a bear to last on for about several days. Usually a polar bear catches sea lions on ice floes. To catch up with them in the water, even with an excellent ability to swim, the bear really can't do this. But on ice floes, he has the advantage in a bear, and a bear, even with its monstrous dimensions, can be incredibly secretive. So just look at this ninja. He manages to sneak up on a seal with almost no cover, and this is with his weight. This is a real feat. Bears can also catch seals and sea lions directly from the holes and grab them with their curved claws. Unfortunately, due to global warming, the natural habitat of polar bears has greatly decreased. The ice retreated from the rocks and shores of the Arctic Ocean. And on it itself, the thickness of the ice is often not large enough to withstand the weight of a huge predator. He can't hunt among the rocks because the light color of the fur coat immediately gives him away. And a hungry polar bear becomes much more aggressive, including against its own kind. Just watch this intense and epic scene play out. The male decides to deal with a bear cub, and the female is inferior in size to the aggressor by about a quarter. But she is fiercely protective of her offspring. Just look at how the bear tries to win every extra second for her little baby and help him break away from the terrible pursuer. The female drops an entire snowdrift on her pursuer's head. Very clever tactics. The aggressor clearly underestimated her, hoping that brute force would give him an unambiguous advantage. But the most impressive is the duel of two males. Here, a larger predator clearly underestimated the courage of a young bear when it came to seize his hunting grounds. The animals tried to intimidate each other with a terrible roar, from which the local reindeer had already fled somewhere towards Mexico. And when both predators realized that a fight could not be avoided, they immediately began to exchange blows. This is an incredible battle in which predators use their arsenal up to 100%. They not only exchange crushing blows, aim at each other's head, body, and neck, but also brutally grab the enemy with their fangs, trying to overwhelm them. Both rise up to their hind legs, but they can also fight in the stalls fight and try to reach the throat of the opponent. Although many large aquatic predators hunt seals and sea lions, do not underestimate them. These animals are also excellent at scary hunters in their weight category. They are incredibly agile, so much so that they can catch both large fish and penguins. The seals and sea lions are able to catch up and catch a penguin with its terrible fangs even in the open ocean. This chase on the shore looks even more intense. The penguin is doing everything to break away from the sea lion, and it seems that the enemy is not agile enough. He clumsily flippers around and tries to catch up with the bird. But if you bet on the penguin, you'd be wrong. The larger predator just looks awkward. He catches up with the victim, crushes it with his mass, and uses his jaws. So what marine animal from today impressed you the most? Maybe you would like us to tell you more about them? Then let us know in the comments. And also, don't forget to subscribe. That way you'll be able to be the first to learn the most impressive facts about the world of wildlife.